You can't respect the queen. I know you surely are not respecting your husband and the things that he may be going through right now. Because I can tell you right now, he's going through a lot. There's a lot going on, and this marriage is finding tension. And you can tell just by that video right there. This is a woman who is going to make problems for her husband as she did for the royal family.
Breaking right now, new video footage finally proves that Meghan Markle purposefully broke the biggest rule of royal protocol shamefully during her first engagement with the late Queen. This is something that the Duchess of Sussex has denied for some time. But look at this. And then we'll get analysis from P-Dina. P-Dina, to me, looking at this bombshell new footage, it is very, very clear that she ignored the official advice. She decided to walk in front of the late Queen Elizabeth II. We know there were so many other terrible things that she did on that day, refusing to allow the late Queen to get into the car first, refusing to wear a hat, even though that had been requested specifically by the late Queen's lady-in-waiting. And I think it just shows that Meghan always had a disdain for the British royal family.
Yeah, I think it points to a bigger problem, and that problem is Megan doesn't want to take direction. She wants to do things the way she wants to do them. And I think this is why I've always tried to think, well, what does this really mean? When you see her disrespecting the protocols of the royal family, disrespecting the queen, not wearing a hat. I mean, I pointed out to a friend of mine, well, she didn't wear a hat and my friend tried to make light of it, like, oh, well, she didn't wear a hat. But no, you have to look at, well, what does that really mean? If you can't follow simple instruction, if you refuse to do these things, what does it mean later down the road when you're asked to do other things and you can't follow these small, simple instructions? It means that you won't probably ever do things that people want you to do. You made a choice. You married into this family, Megan. So you agreed to do the things that were expected of you as someone marrying into the royal family. So what it told me is that from the very beginning, Megan was never going to adhere to anything that was expected of her. She was going to use this as an opportunity to help herself in her own career. And it was just a stepping stone to what she really wanted to do. And that was to leave the royal family and to use her exposure to brand herself later. And that's what she did. And so, I mean, I think it's a really good insight to someone and who they are deep down to their core. You can't follow these simple instructions. You're just not a very good person that really wants to do the right thing. And that's what I think people should really be upset at. Don't look at the little small things that she didn't do. Look at the big picture. And what we can see is it panned out. We can see that she is not the kind of person to respect people. I mean, I can only imagine what is happening in her relationship now with Harry. You can't respect the queen. I know you surely are not respecting your husband and the things that he may be going through right now. Because I can tell you right now, he's going through a lot. There's a lot going on, and this marriage is finding tension. And you can tell just by that video right there. This is a woman who was going to make problems for her husband as she did for the royal family. That's what it told me.
Yeah, big time, big time. I mean, just going back to the details of the trip, because this was the first and only time there was ever an engagement between Meghan, a solo engagement between Meghan and the late Queen. It absolutely was an attempt by the monarch to show, I'm up for this. We welcome you. You can have all of this advice from Lady Susan Hussey. But it was very, very obvious soon after. And remember, the late Queen was speaking all the time to her key aides. And it became very obvious that Meghan wasn't playing ball. But what's quite fascinating, and remember, this was a relatively mundane trip. It was in Cheshire, and they were opening a new bridge. But the Daily Mail has actually employed the lip reading expert Jackie Press to reveal what was said between Meghan and the royal staff while she was walking in front of the late Queen. And what's interesting is that an aide says to Meghan, "Do you want to come down?" And then when Meghan is addressing the crowd, she actually says to Meghan, "This way, please," and gestures with her hand in the direction to walk ahead. So Meghan was being guided. She was being told every step of the way what to do, and she ignored it. Then there was another moment where Meghan took flowers and wanted to hold on to flowers. And again, that might sound like a small thing, but actually, royal protocol makes clear that when you are handed flowers, you pass them back to your private secretary or personal assistant so they can be properly displayed, but also checked for safety reasons. But the point that has been made by royal courtiers here, P-Dina, is that the flowers were for the late Queen. They weren't for Meghan, and Meghan was only receiving them because she had walked in front of the Queen. Now, all of this, right, sounds quite small fry. However, it does show the lack of respect, and it does show that she ignored the direction and guidance that she was being given on the day because it was the Meghan Markle show. And so she didn't want a hat because she wanted her beautiful hair out. She didn't want to have to walk behind the late Queen because why should she have to? She's a proud feminist woman.
Yeah. And it just shows how she's so eager to get the spotlight. She's just like so anxious, doesn't want to listen, walking in front of the Queen. I mean, I cannot understand how you are so bold to just disregard the things that are being said to you. That tells you so much about the mindset of someone like this. And so when like Narendra was talking about how she's just so kind and sweet and this woman has the audacity to disrespect the Queen of England and understanding like what the Queen has done and accomplished in her life, and you're disrespecting this person. That one move right there shows you this is not a nice person. Okay, so she knew what she was supposed to do. She had people guiding her. She even didn't want to even take instruction from some of the other people that the Queen wanted to advise her. I think her equerry person that was a black man that she was just like,
Yes.
oh, I don't want him, you know. So she doesn't want to take direction. So how can people say she's a really nice person and humble and all these things? Look to what she actually is doing to understand that this is why we don't really like her because of her disrespect for a country, the Queen, the people. I mean, the list goes on and on. Her father, her family. Really? People
Totally.
need to just wake up.
Totally. And the thing that's so interesting as well is they then, and to me, this is so awful. Harry and Meghan both then attempted to use that day, right, for positive PR to try and prove that the late Queen was behind Meghan. So you'll remember that Harry wrote of the day in Spare, that Meghan returned from the trip glowing, and she said, the Queen and I really bonded. And Harry wrote, because, you know, Harry kept nothing back, did he? Had no idea of class or dignity and what you share or don't share. And he said, we talked about how much I wanted to be a mom. And she told me the best way to induce labor was a good bumpy car ride. I told her I'd remember that when the time came. A private discussion. That was a private discussion. You do not
And
reveal what the late Queen told you in a private discussion. And then Meghan in the interview in 2021 said we were in the car going between engagements, and she, referring to the late Queen, has a blanket that sits across her knees for warmth, and it was chilly, and she was like, Meghan, come on, and put it over my knees as well. And it made me think of my grandmother, where she's always been warm and inviting and really welcoming. So the point is, it was just another PR exercise, wasn't it? And it's
yes.
also worth pointing out that the late Queen had offered Meghan the help of the Duchess of Edinburgh too, Sophie
Yeah.
Wessex. And that was turned down because Meghan says, "Oh, I have my Harry. I don't need anything else." Well, look at how that went. Didn't really work out,
Yeah,
did
right.
it? But first, the reason you're watching this show is that it's becoming increasingly difficult to trust mainstream media or the so called fact checkers who claim to determine which facts are true. And there's a good reason for that, given the debate over free speech, the controversy surrounding Brexit, and how Trump and other politicians challenging the status quo are portrayed. So I've got the solution. It's called Ground News, and it's the best way to stay informed and cut through media bias and narratives so you can get the facts for yourself. Go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out right now, and I've got an amazing discount too. But let me show you this incredible website and app and action first. So let's look at the recent speech that Vice President of the US, JD Vance, gave to the Munich Security Conference. He tore into European countries, including our government here in the UK, over the complete rolling back of free speech, which is a real concern for me. And you can see that 361 sources covered this story. But what Ground News does, and it's amazing, is immediately show how the story is being covered, broken down by whether the organizations lean to the left or the right. This is called the bias distribution service. Now, you can scroll down and see every article about the topic broken down by the political position and ownership of the publication. So, for example, Newsmax, GB News, gave fair and accurate coverage, focused very much on how Vance was, I guess, being brave enough to point out some uncomfortable truth. But the lefty publications, of course, they went with their normal narrative. HuffPost claimed the speech left all of Europe aghast. It really didn't. The Independent decided to lead on a nonsense claim about a joke over Elon Musk. But what's more is that Ground News gets to know you personally. It provides you with the news stories you're interested in while also analyzing your own biases. So my favorite feature is this thing called the blind spot feed. It surfaces upwards of 20 stories every day that you might not be hearing about because of the corruption of the mainstream media. Now, I know you love the news, but you don't trust the legacy media. That's why you're watching Outspoken. What Ground News does is give you the tools to understand the truth. I have to be honest, it's now the only way I read the news because it allows me to see through manipulative mainstream media narratives. Go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out. Subscribe through my link for 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what I use for unlimited access. Ground News is subscriber funded, and supporting my sponsors also supports my work. So for less than a Netflix subscription, you can get all the world's news in one place and think for yourself. It's been a game changer for a news junkie like me. That's ground.news/outspoken. But now, back to the show.
And then go on Oprah and say that there was no help, there was nothing. Like the blatant lies of this woman should be enough for people to wake up to who she is. For me, Megan is just one of those kind of people that is really showing you who she is. And like they say, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Okay, why can't people believe that Megan is this kind of person? I don't understand it because, like I said before, you wouldn't accept this behavior in your own family. You wouldn't allow someone to disrespect someone like you're the head of your family, your matriarch. You wouldn't allow it. So why do they think that the royal family should just, you know, go with it? No, I think Megan has done so many things that we can see that are not acceptable. She lies. And the reality is Megan needs to atone for all the things that have happened, and she needs to really feel the backlash that people are giving her right now because it is very much warranted, is justified, because people don't want to see the disrespect of the queen. I mean, it just is common sense to me, right? I don't understand why people, and also going to your point about the blanket and the queen, like she could not wait to exploit her relationship with the queen. She was like, oh, I'm going to tell people about this moment. She couldn't wait. I'm sure she went back and took notes. And Harry, for that matter, should have known better. He should have known not to put these little conversations with the queen in his book for money. Look, Meghan has gotten Harry to sell out his grandmama, right? So how bad is this? Like you cannot think this is okay, right? I just find it despicable behavior what Megan has done. She has shown us who she is. Everyone believe her who she is.
None of this is working though, P-Dina, because I'll show you this from an influencer who has crunched the numbers, and this is based on massive surveys taken all over the world. And it reveals who the most loved and the most hated celebrities in all the world are. Watch this.
Mhm.
Most hated celebrities. So the most loved celebrities, according to online surveys and polls, are Morgan Freeman in the 3 spot, Denzel Washington at the 2, and the number 1 overall being Keanu Reeves. Notably, the top 2 don't have any social media. Onto the most hated, though, and Elon Musk and Kanye West are actually tied right outside of the top 5 at the number 6 spot, coincidentally due to their respective content they share on X. The 5th most hated celebrity is actually Amber Heard, still carrying the hate from her legal showdown with Johnny Depp a few years back. Number 4 is Ellen DeGeneres because of her fostering of an alleged toxic workplace environment, leading to her departure of her show a couple years back. The 3rd most hated celebrity is actually Jake Paul due to his controversial online persona and boxing antics that's really stirred up the sports world. In the 2 spot, we have Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, because of her perceived victimization of herself and role in deepening the rift between the royal family and Prince Harry. But finally, the most hated celebrity in the entire world right now is P. Diddy, for obvious reasons.
So P-Dina, only P. Diddy. Only P. Diddy is less popular. Oh, and by the way, before she tries to turn this into a race thing, and I think this is why it was important that I also showed the 3 most loved celebrities in the world, because look at number 2 and number 3.
That's
Denzel
right.
Washington and Morgan Freeman. So don't tell me it's a race thing, Megan. Do you see what I mean? Because that's what she would usually try and do.
Wow, it is really bad when you beat out Amber Heard because we saw what she did to Johnny Depp. We saw that. The problem is we can't really see what she's doing to Harry, but you know she's doing worse to Harry. I just know it. So, I mean, to be number 2, yeah, you got some work to do, Megan. You got some real work to do, girlfriend, because it doesn't look like you're going to get too far with any projects that you're trying to do because you need to have people like you, especially when your show is called With Love. I'm sorry, there ain't no love coming with anything Megan does. It is all seedy and shady what she's doing. So, yeah, that's really bad for you, Megan. I mean, at this point, Harry must be really beside himself. People do not like my wife. What am I going to do? I mean, Harry, you're going to be in that boat with Johnny Depp. I mean, you're going to be a victim sooner than you think because I think it's a sign of things to come. If and you're in the number 2 spot, yeah, you're getting ready to come out with some things that are going to be public very soon behind the walls of your home in Montecito. Harry is feeling the brunt of that number 2 spot of Megan. I mean, I wonder what Megan thinks about all that. I mean, I'm wondering if she's like, do you realize yet? Do you understand that people don't like you? I mean, even if you come out with a show talking about with love, we see you, Megan. We watch you. Do you like there's a big elephant in the road? You just gonna go around the elephant? You're not gonna address it? I mean, this is why she will keep climbing and keep staying at this spot because she wants to ignore it. Like it's la-di-da, nothing is going on. People love me. With love, Megan. Sorry. Not happening.
And P-Dina, this week, and this is when you know things are really bad, right? Thomas Markle,
Mhm.
and look, cards on the table. I love the Markles. I love Thomas Markle. I
Yeah, I
love
do
Samantha
too.
Markle. I love Thomas Markle Jr. To me, these are the salt of the earth people. And Meghan led a destructive campaign using the mainstream media to try and make her family out as something they were not. But you know it's pretty bad, right? When one of the most, I guess, scathing reviews of your TV series is from your own dad. And he was spot
You
on.
cannot
He
make
was
this
spot
up.
on. But no, you can't make it up.
I mean, the drama. Think about this, though. We have to remember that Thomas Markle is an Emmy award-winning lighting director, right? People have worked with him that are still in Hollywood. And imagine the things that are being said that we don't hear about. There is an undercurrent of what people are saying in Hollywood, and it's not good because I think Thomas Markle is very well respected in the industry. People see what Megan has done to her papa, her father, and they don't like it. And when your father, who really knows what he's doing in terms of his work in Hollywood, people respect him, and he's coming out and saying this about his own daughter. It's just a wake-up call for you, Meghan. What you think is going to happen now? You think you're winning and with love is doing great? This is giving us all the insight we need for who you are. Because I mean, people are piling on the once woke. Now your father is coming out and telling us it's over. And I think sooner than later, yeah, like I said, Harry has to be the one to realize, what's happening because the father understands, yeah, it's bad. He even sees her fake side and he knows this is not real. And if your daddy's calling you out, then we know it must be true, right? We feeling it all the way.
Yeah, and he was spot on. I mean, he was spot on. He's like, I know
Mhm.
when she's pretending, I know when she's not being authentic. And look, she's
Mhm.
created this situation. The poor dad, Thomas, has just wanted to be let in for such a long time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like he's the father, he raised her. Plus, he was obviously able to say that all of the latchkey kid stuff was just not true. Yes, he
Wow.
admitted he wasn't exactly cooking for her because he was working two jobs. He was an Emmy award winning sound director. So it wasn't
Oh,
that he
yeah.
was making the food, but he's like, I'm taking her to the best restaurants, to some of the best
Mhm.
restaurants in Los Angeles. And we all know the quality
Yeah.
of food at those restaurants is top notch.
Right. A good money. And he talked about it when
Yep.
I met with him when he was with his first wife. He didn't have that much money. He was just getting started. But when Megan came along, he's now more established. He's got more money. And he treated Megan like a princess. She got everything she wanted. And once again, Megan is trying to look like people should like her. She didn't grow up with the best things in life. Girl, you went to a private school. Okay. What are you talking about? You did not eat TV dinners. You were not a latchkey kid. You were on the set of Married with Children. There are pictures. Okay. Your dad sent a limo for you when he could not pick you up. What are you talking about? And so these are the lies that people need to wake up to. Narinder, wake up. Do you see the things that we're seeing? Because we don't have the glowing picture that you see of Megan. We see like the receipts. She doesn't see the receipts of who this woman is. I think you need to start waking up to some receipts because obviously you're seeing some delusion that Megan is feeding you, because we don't see that. We see the truth and we hear it from people that really know her. Okay? So yeah, girl, go kick rocks. We're not listening to you.
Oh, P-Dina, I love you. I love you. So beautifully put. Make sure you subscribe to P-Dina's amazing royal channel for so much more of this. But I love having you on Outspoken, P-Dina, and we will speak very, very soon.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.